What should a driver who may have had too much alcohol to drink before getting behind the wheel do if the police pull him or her over? What advice could a lawyer give that person? Of course, the best advice is don't put yourself in that anxious position in the first place. Don't drink alcohol and drive. But in our scenario, somebody has had some alcohol to drink and then sometime later drove a car. A police officer has pulled the driver over, and the officer now approaches. What should the driver do? It's too late to answer with, don't drink and drive. She already did that. What should the driver do now? Well, I'm going to answer that in a typical lawyer fashion, but be patient and let me explain my answer. What should she do now? It depends. When people are faced with legal problems, they want clear answers. Do this or do that. Yes or no. Not maybe. Not it depends. So why do lawyers give what seem to be ambiguous answers? A cynic would say that the lawyer gives ambiguous answers because it protects the lawyer. No matter what the outcome, the lawyer's advice is never wrong because it was never definite. And perhaps there is some truth to the cynic's explanation. However, there's a better explanation. Answers like it depends and maybe are the correct answers to some kinds of questions. Although Michigan law is spelled out in statutes and court decisions, the application of particular facts to the law can be complicated. And this is especially true of drunk driving law in our scenario. What a person should do depends on certain facts in his or her situation. And it also depends on you if you're that person. Who are you? What do you value? Some people value transparency above other qualities, even above their own self-interest. So as the police officer approaches, these kind of people decide that they will tell the officer everything. In their minds, anything short of complete disclosure is dishonest and a violation of their own personal moral code. A lawyer's advice to such a person then may sound something like this. I'm not going to tell you to violate your own personal moral code. That's your decision to make. Be true to yourself. However, understand the legal consequences of such a decision before you make it. And understand that the law affords you some protections in this situation. The United States Constitution and the Michigan Constitution recognize that each of us, when we're confronted by law enforcement, we deserve due process. Due process, or fair legal treatment, it's a cherished American ideal, and it's worthy of its own deep discussion. It's not wrong, immoral, unethical, or un-American to expect due process from the police or the courts. In the case of a person suspected of drunk driving, due process means some very practical things that a person should consider. The problem with these practical things is that they're very numerous and they're very case-specific. For example, in the case of traffic law enforcement, due process means that a police officer may not stop a driver without a good reason. If a police officer lacks a good reason, the judicial system might even exclude any evidence that the officer gathers as a result of the officer's improper stop. However, this exclusionary rule has exceptions, and the proper reasons for a stop are numerous. Discussing your particular case with a good Michigan lawyer will help you understand how due process applies in your situation. A driver cannot undo the stop, but a lawyer may be able to help the driver undo some of its effect.